Hello, my name is Dylan, but you can call me Buttercup. Welcome to Buttercup Yarn Art, a soft-spoken video journal where I play with yarn and share my thoughts. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave a comment to let me know. I am still working on all of the lights by Locatelli. As done as it looks here, there is still more to do. So, I actually want to spend this video talking about this pattern and my experience with making it so far. I also want to show you guys what I've done and how it's looking and all that. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. But I'll also be talking about what I'm trying to show as I try to show it, so hopefully this will be enjoyable. So first, I want to talk about these cables in the middle here, these big beefy 12-stitch cables that I just ran my hand down. And by 12-stitch cables, I mean 6 stitches passed over 6 stitches. And 12-stitch cables are, in my opinion, too big. They are ridiculous, and I don't like them. I like how they look, I like the finished result, but doing them is very difficult. Not like undoable, but they're just so stiff and tight, and it's such a pain. I think I only have 2 more passes to do. I'm in the ribbing. I should only need to do 1 more on each end of the row, and then no more. But I'll have to measure and make sure. But 12-stitch cables are too much, in my personal opinion. They look great. I would much rather do fewer stitches on thicker yarn to get the same effect, personally. And we don't really have to go far for the next thing I want to talk about, which is the lace, as all of my stuff tries to fall off of my desk. The lace between my hands, where I just ran my hands down, the lace is on a 12-row repeat, whereas 12-stitch cables in the other cable section are on 16-row repeats. And I've been able to keep track of, how they're supposed to go, but I really prefer when repeats all have the same number of rows, and I don't have to keep track of where I am in different counts. That's just not something I'm fond of doing. And it's just, I'm also not fond of lace in general, but this lace is pretty simple, pretty easy, and there's enough else going on that it hasn't really bothered me too much, if that makes sense. I also wish the sizing went bigger than it does, but that's more of a general thing. I wish a lot of patterns were available in more sizes. The only modifications I had to do for the sizing were for the sleeves, because I have big beefy arms, so I modified the sleeve sizing I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants on the number of stitches to pick up for that. Speaking of which, here's one of the armholes, right armhole. I'm not fond of picking up stitches around edges. It's just, I would much rather have stitches to work from or a seam to do, personally. But, you know, it's not something I absolutely despise, but also it wouldn't be my first choice of methodology. I'm more comfortable with it now because I had to do it to start the fronts and the back, and you know, that gave me some experience with it, but it wouldn't be my first choice of technique. So those are really my only complaints as far as it goes. On to the things that I really like about this pattern. Like I said, I like the look of the 12-stitch cables. I like the look of the other cable sections that I just ran my hand down. I like this texture repeat here. I like the overall look, and I really, really like the order in which the pattern is laid out. And a lot of sweaters worked top down. They have the sleeve instructions last, but it really doesn't matter when you do the sleeves. This pattern is laid out, in my opinion, in the order in which you should do the steps. So you should do the whole body and then the sleeves, in my opinion, because the body is the most complicated part, especially with the pockets. And I should mention the pockets. I should talk about the pockets. I will do that once I finish talking about why I like how the pattern is set up. But the body and the pockets are the most complicated bit. But the sleeves, once you pick up all the stitches and get going, are pretty simple. And the starting shoulder cables along here are also very simple. And I like that it starts you with something simple so that you can go, okay, this isn't actually too difficult of a pattern. This isn't hard. You get to the body, and it's like, okay, now it's getting really complicated. And then at the end, you have the sleeves, which are pretty simple once again. And you feel, okay, this is pretty easy. And you finish the pattern feeling like, okay, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't as difficult as I was thinking it was going to be, because you start and end on relatively simple parts of the pattern. And I like that. So now, let's talk about the pockets. I understand the pockets more than I did when I started the pattern, and before I had gotten to the pattern, the pockets. I do not entirely understand the pockets. So, I don't know if you can see what's going on here. These stitches here are on hold. These are going to be the back of the pocket. I'm going to knit down a few inches in stockinette and sew it up to the back of the front here. And then on this little safety pin here are the 8 stitches of one little cable here. It's actually a 6 stitch cable with a couple of stitches on the border on the outside. And this will go across the top of the pocket and kind of be a border there. And the thing that I can't really wrap my brain around with this is the process of, creating this little flap here and extending back across here to fill the row in. 3 stitches disappear on either side, and they're about half an inch for 3 stitches, so it loses an inch at the bottom. Why? I want them back. I didn't do any modifications there because I don't really understand, and I don't want to mess with what I don't understand. I don't want to change something that I don't understand why it is the way it is. So I am trusting the pattern, and I am fairly confident it's going to work out, but I do not understand why it is the way that it is. It's not a complaint. I just don't understand. I don't get it when it comes to the pockets. But it'll be great, I think. So I'm almost at the end. I am currently working on the ribbing at the bottom. Again, I don't know how much detail you can see. Black yarn. It looks very detailed in person, but I really don't know how much is coming across on the camera, unfortunately. But I also really like that the pattern is set up so that you do the pocket backs and the pocket tops before you do the sleeves, because it kind of gives you a bit of a transition between the whole ultra complicated body of the sweater, gives you a breather where you do something extremely simple like pocket backs and a line of cable, of a single cable. And then you go and do the sleeves. It's kind of like a palette cleanser almost, and I really like that. I think I've said before that I am probably going to wind up living in this sweater when it's done. Part of that is because I am really liking the look of it and I can't wait to wear it. Part of that is so much work went into it that I'm never going to want to take it off for any reason, because I worked so hard. Why would I wear anything else? I worked so hard on this. But this is going to be a staple of my wardrobe. I know that already. and I have, on the whole, really enjoyed doing this project. So far, I have really enjoyed the process of it. I've really enjoyed seeing it come together, seeing the design emerge as I worked. But I'm also really, really ready to be finished. I am tired. I have been working so hard on this, put in so many hours. I don't even want to think about what I would charge for this garment, like what price I would set for this, because it would probably make my eyeballs bleed from the sheer scale of the price I would have to charge for this, for the amount of work going in. But I'm really glad that I did this, and my next project is going to be a lot simpler, just as kind of a palette cleanser. But overall, I've really, really enjoyed this, and I'm really glad I decided to do this. I recommend, if you're looking for a challenge, this pattern will be really good for that. This will challenge you, I think, whatever your skill level, just because there's so much going on. Maybe that's a biased opinion. Definitely that's a biased opinion. There is no such thing as a truly unbiased opinion. Opinions are just made entirely out of biases. But I think this would be a good challenge for anyone. I highly recommend that this not be your first adult size garment, or even your first garment at all, regardless of size. But if you're ready for a challenge, I think this is a good one. It's enjoyable, it's well written, it's easy to follow, and the product that you get is amazing. So, I highly recommend this pattern if you're looking for a challenge. I think it's an enjoyable one. And I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.